this is very out of the ordinary to get 2 balance changes this quickly back to back after just a release of the expansion itself. So this is good stuff. We like to see things like this. I've been honing on this for a long time, that constant updates and changes to the game, whether the cards are being buffed or nerfed, changes up the meta and allows the game to keep that sort of like fresh feel to it, where you're not playing against the same 4 decks for 4 months until the new expansion hits, and then 2 weeks after that all of the cards are like, all the main decks are figured out, and then it's back to being stale. So with that, we're gonna go over all, for those of you unfamiliar with how we do this video, we normally go over all the cards that were changed. We give our thoughts and input about them. I'll include the link to this particular what they said about the update in the description below if you want to read what Blizzard said. But basically, they make changes because they see certain cards kind of polarizing the meta and being found in a lot of different decks, and them being so popular in certain decks makes it harder for other cards to even compete with them, and basically deck diversity on that stuff. So Cold Blood will cost 2 mana up from 1. So this will no longer be a card found in Odd Rogue. If you watched any of our other monthly videos, I kept saying Odd Rogue over and over and over again for every card, just because it's such a powerful and popular deck. Now, it actually is Odd Rogue. Cold Blood is most assuredly found in an Odd Rogue deck, and if you've seen any of my previous videos of Legend, we actually like went from like, it was like an 80% win rate or something silly like that from rank 5 to Legend with an Odd Rogue deck after not playing the deck for months. I just was like, let's try it out one day, and then it just dominated. It just won games. So Cold Blood being nerfed is, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing at all. It's one of those cards that, your opponent having on turn 7, like Leroy Cold Blood, they're pumping 14 damage at your face for 7 mana, and there's no interaction there. You just take half your life for 7 mana, and then most of the time before then they've dealt a sizable amount of damage. So you're either dead that turn or the turn after. So cards like this, I don't mind, the OTK / combo decks that deal upwards of 25 to 30 damage taking a hit. Granted, this isn't part of like an OTK, but it's still a card that allows for them to deal huge chunks of damage without any true interaction from either player. If it was Magic and there's Counterspell, then this card really isn't that big of a deal. It can be countered, but this game, mages are the only ones with Counterspell, and not all mages play that Counterspell. So, Cold Blood being nerfed, not too shabby, and the only real deck right now in Standard that this hits is potentially, definitely Odd Rogue, but some Death Rattle Rogues were playing Cold Blood on their eggs to buff them to be able to trade, but that's a very small percentage of the Rogue players, if any. If you guys, Death Rattle Rogues are still out there. I have faith there's maybe 1 or 2 watching. They're like, damn it, I can't buff my eggs anymore, but don't you worry. It only costs 2 mana. Flame Tongue Totem will cost 3 mana from 2. Okay. So I'm going to take a quick pause here and not talk about the card, but most of all of the cards that we're going over are part of the core set here. And Blizzard made a note to say that they're not going to rotate the core set like they do the other sets. They're just going to keep the core set intact. And it looks like they're nerfing or making the cards worse from the core set, so they don't see as much play. But wouldn't rotating the core set, every once in a while, or just rotating it out completely, fix this entire problem? Granted, I guess you'd still see, have these issues in Wild, but they haven't gave a shit about Wild in forever. So it's just weird that they're nerfing cards, like a lot of cards from this core set. Most of the cards that they've nerfed in the past 2 years have all been from the original core set that the game released with. So wouldn't it just make more sense just to rotate it out so we don't have that core set? That makes up the meta. That makes everything up like crazy. You know what I mean? If you look at a Druid deck, half the cards in there are from the core set. Well, maybe not anymore, but you get what I'm saying. So Flame Tongue Totem, from 2 mana to 3, definitely it's no longer going to be found in the Even Shaman, which is really, really, really good in Wild. So I guess this does touch on Wild a little bit. And as we know, Even Shaman is fairly popular in Standard as well, and has the ability to blow out exceedingly fast with cards like, Primal Fin Totem, Flame Tongue Totem, the Eel Spark, and just things of that nature. So, this is honestly cards that are really good. Them making them worse makes me happy, because then we can play more fun cards, because the best cards in the game have slightly taken a hit. I don't know if the 2 to 3 mana is going to make this card still playable. It seems honestly like a lot of mana to play a Flametongue Totem, but essentially Flametongue Totem at 2 mana was just a great card. How could you not play it? And at 3 mana, now you think twice about it. So is 1 mana the huge gap that Flametongue Totem doesn't see play? And it's like maybe, maybe not. I don't want to call bets on this because I don't honestly play Even Shaman at all. I don't. You guys know me. If you watch any of my videos, we don't necessarily play the most popular decks all the time. So for those of you who do play some of these more popular decks, like the Odd Rogues, the Even Shamans, let me know what you think about these nerfs, in the comment section so I can kind of get feedback on you. But, I like changes like this. Any changes to the game, even if it's decks that I enjoy playing, I enjoy changes to those decks so we can see some other stuff that we haven't seen before. Anything to keep this game fresh, I am all about it. Even if it's decks, like I said, that I really like. So Flametongue Totem change, I like it. They can't really change the card text too much. There's some cards that you can like make it slightly like give minions +1 attack, but then it's just a direwolf, you know what I mean? A direwolf is a 2 mana 2/2, give the adjacent minions +1 attack. So they can't necessarily change the ability of the card so much because there's not a lot of flexibility in there. Equality will cost 4 mana up from 2, so this is huge. Flame. We're seeing 1 mana change for Cold Blood, 1 mana change for Flametongue, but Equality taking the 2 mana hit. I'm assuming this is to keep it in the even category, so even Paladins can now still have a form of removal. They definitely didn't want to make it 3 mana because Odd Paladin, if Odd Paladin had Equality, that would be absolutely disgusting. Like it would make this card would actually be better for Odd Paladin at 3, obviously, because they could play it. But this card, it would be insane. So I'm glad they didn't make the mistake of making it 3 mana, because as soon as you look at that, you're like, Odd Paladin, oh my god, that's disgusting. Giving them a field clear for 3 mana, that's insane. So I like it, not at 3. 4 is a lot, because as we know, right now, Paladins, their earliest board clear they have is turn 4. And that's if they have Wild Pyromancer, right? And they have Equality, and that normally clears the board up. Now, this is going to take 6 mana, and the 6 mana is now also, used to be the Equality Consecrate, and now Equality Consecrate actually takes 8 mana. So Paladin just took a huge hit, well, at least the control variants of Paladin took a huge hit, and their ability to clear the board early on. So, the OTK Paladins, the slower, cube Paladins, this is a pretty substantial, change to them, having to wait an additional 2 turns to get those clears that they would have normally gotten much sooner. So will we see, is this a big enough hit to stop, OTK Paladin and, Shirvala Paladin and, that Egg Paladin that's roaming around? Is it good enough to take the hit on those guys? Probably not, because they have Shrink Ray too now, and they have timeouts and stuff, but it's definitely a hindrance to them. Like aggro decks, this helps the aggro go even aggro on them. It's just a weird, why Equality? You know what I mean? It's weird that they would hit Equality. I understand it kind of, because they hit mostly they hit Hex. They've hit Hunter's Mark. Looking at Hunter's Mark, look at that. It's a 2 mana now. Hunter's Mark, guess how much mana these do? For those of you who have been around in Hearthstone for a long time, us remember the good old Pepperidge Farm remembers. Hunter's Mark used to cost 0 mana. This used to be 0 mana, and now it's 2 mana. Inflation, my dudes. This is horrible. I'm just kidding. No, but seriously though, 2 mana for a change of minions health to 1. This is it has gone up substantially. You wish your stocks have gone up as much as Hunter's Mark has in the past 2 years. Let me tell you about it. It's gone up 2x. I honestly like the Hunter's Mark hit because there's nothing more annoying. For those of you who can stand with me on this, when they play a Candle Shot, they have a Hunter's Mark. They always do. And they pay 1 mana, just 1 simple mana to kill your giant thick daddy minion. And you're very sad about this. But now, because of because of inflation, they have to pay 2 mana to kill your thick daddy minion. And we like this. They have to pay double the mana to kill my thick minion. And I like them having to pay the price. Because I'm paying the price because my minion died. So we like this. Hunters, right now Hunters they have a really big grip on the meta right now, about I think 30%. If by the last Vicious Syndicate report and Hearthstone replay report, it's about 30% of the meta is Hunter, and a large portion of them play Hunter's Mark in their deck. So this is a good hit for us, or a good hit for them, but for those who don't play Hunter like us, this is good for us. This next one though, we like this a lot, and it's interesting because they didn't really say anything about any of these cards. Like there's just like Flametone Totem will change, equality will change, everything changes, and then we go to like, you know, the Spellstone, and they have like a little brief description because Hearthstone devs know that a shit ton of people went out of their way to craft Hunter because it's broken. So they're like, oh, we just nerfed the best card in the deck. We have to explain why. So I'm actually interested to read this because I haven't read this yet because I don't do this kind of thing. I just kind of wing it. Alien Eye base calling around that we've changed the position of Emerald Spellstone. It finishes the game threat. The removing its cost up by 1 to reduce its utility in the early game aggressive tempo option. This is changed along with the Hunter's Mark changes aimed at aggressing. The Hunter's prevalence is still a viable option. All right, so what they're saying here is this is the only non-core set card they changed, and they basically said this card is still amazing, even though it costs 6 mana, and I would have to agree, because there's nothing more annoying than a Hunter going secret, coin, Spellstone for 4 mana. They basically played a 12/12 minion for 4 mana. A Tyrantus for 4 mana, split into little 4 Tyrantus bodies is insane. So I like this nerf. Again, when a deck is the best in the meta, or the best currently found in the game. You know, Hunter has it's the most played. The reason it's the most played is because it is the best deck, basically, and it is fairly easy to pilot. Those are the decks that make it up to the top. And it taking a hit, this is a core piece to the puzzle, and it being to 6 mana, this card is still good. I guarantee you this card will still see play, 100%. But it's just slightly less overpowered, which I like to see. So this is good stuff. Like I said, anything that changes up the meta is definitely a plus in my book. Them changing cards so quickly is a plus for me as well. Also, keep in mind these changes will arrive February 5th. I know I should have addressed that in the first 10 seconds of the video, but I'm a bad YouTuber and I didn't do that. So for those of you still here, ticking around, listening to my dumbass, February 5th. That's when these go live, and that's when you can expect me to be streaming on Twitch too, because we about these updates. So. But a final note before we leave, guys. You have to keep in mind that this is an online card game, right? So, in my opinion, with the ability to change all cards at once, unlike a physical copy of like a card game like Magic, like once they print a card, they can't be like, oh, we're gonna change the text of a card because then it doesn't work. There's already hundreds of thousands of them in circulation. But with an online game, they could be like, oh man, Hunter's 30% of the meta. Let's look at the top, 3 cards in a Hunter deck. Oh, Spellstone. What if this was 6 mana? Which they did. Oh, it could probably still be good at 6 mana, but it's not absolutely insane. So, I really, really, really like these frequency of updates. If there's any Hearthstone, dev team watching this, which I don't think there is, but, I want to stand behind these updates. I am fully, boom, these are good. I like them. Keep them rolling. If we got updates once a month, that would make me a very happy camper. Not that I go camping because it's basically living like a homeless person willingly, but we don't. Besides the point. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think of in the comment section below of this. Really interested to hearing your feedback. I always am with these updates, and I will catch you either on stream or in the next YouTube video. Of course, thank you again for watching, and happy whatever the hell day it is.